On another matter, I've spoken repeatedly about President Biden's attempt to give life tenure on the federal bench to an activist tied to an extremist group that unabashedly celebrates terrorism. I've already made absolutely clear that the Senate should not confirm the nomination of Adele Manji to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. But Mr. Manji's alarming record doesn't stop at ties to terrorist sympathizers. It turns out he also has a history of support for anti-police activism. In fact, he serves on the advisory board of a group of apologists for convicted cop killers, the so-called Alliance of Families for Justice, AFJ, was founded in part by a woman who actually pled guilty to the murder of a police officer and whose name has graced a fellowship that they fund. With Mr. Manji on their advisory board, the AFJ celebrated her and other cop killers as, listen to this, freedom fighters. Take, for example, the executive director of AFJ. She was counsel of record on a brief to spring from prison a notorious cop killer whom she later compared favorably to Che Guevara. Honoring criminals and punishing law enforcement is the exact opposite of justice. One county police association in New York highlighted this irony by pointing out that Mr. Manji's heroes executed our heroes who were protecting and serving the community. Naturally, law enforcement associations across the country share this concern. They're concerned that a nominee who would be responsible for interpreting and upholding our laws is willing to make common cause with an organization that excuses the most heinous form of lawbreaking. Overwhelmingly, the thin blue line is worried that Mr. Manji's inability to distinguish between criminals and heroes renders him incapable of administering justice. As the National Association of Police Organizations put it, quote, "It is one thing to stand up for the rights of those shunned or mistreated by society. It is a far different thing to exalt unrepentant killers who were convicted following legal trials in courts of law." Mr. Manji is smart enough to know the difference, and he's made his choice. The National Sheriff's Association said that Manji's connection with AFJ raises concerns about a potential bias against victims and law enforcement, which could impact his decision-making as a lifetime appointed judge. A state law enforcement group in New Jersey put it this way: "We can respect a lawyer who represents criminal defendants to the best of their ability, but we can't respect and can never support a lawyer who so blatantly promotes the opinion that the police are criminals and the cop killers are the victims. He has disqualified himself as an impartial decider of facts where police are involved." As far away as Arizona, the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association wrote, "Mr. Manji's conscious work with AFJ shows an anti-victim and anti-police bias that would certainly cloud his decision-making as a judge." Now, it's worth noting here who's not involved. Even as law enforcement officers nationwide organized to sound the alarm, the country's largest police union has yet to weigh in. Each day, police work gets more dangerous. Thanks to the work of anti-cop activists like AFJ, but a member of their advisory board gets nominated to federal appeals court, and so it's silence from the Fraternal Order of Police. Well, I hope that changes soon. The last thing our country needs right now is another federal judge who thinks criminals are the real victims, especially ones with the blood of police on their hands. American communities have been suffering for years under a coordinated left-wing campaign to coddle criminals and neuter our criminal justice system. District attorneys in deep blue cities have put politics over prosecution and turned repeated violent offenders loose in their streets. And the Biden administration continues to encourage this sort of bad behavior. It's time to acknowledge who are the criminals and who are the heroes. And it's certainly time to refuse a lifetime appointment to the judiciary to anyone who cannot tell the difference.